We're holding steady at about 50. Jeff, if you want to get started.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. This is Jeff Dennis, live from my kitchen to yours for the 2020 TiEQuest Finals and Awards Gala. Welcome, everyone. You know, this was a interrupted event. We started way back in December, and because of COVID, we had to pause after 2 rounds, but we've resurrected the program and we've completed the last preliminary round, and tonight we have the 5 finalists presenting. The agenda for this evening is, we're going to start with a welcome, so welcome. I'm going to talk about TiE and TiEQuest. We're then going to hear the 5 presentations. There will be a People's Choice Award where you all get to vote for the company that you like. And then there's going to be a winner that the judges will choose. We'll have an update from Genesis, who was our last year's winner, and then the awards presentation. Before we start, I just want to thank the Royal Bank. The Royal has been TiE's sponsor and TiEQuest's sponsor for over 17 years. They've been this huge supporter of our program and of TiEQuest in particular. But I want to make special note of the fact that, you know, when COVID hit, like everyone else, TiE was kind of reeling. We didn't know what to do with the program. We were stuck right in the middle after 2 rounds and had 2 rounds to go. But the Royal closed ranks with us and worked with us and helped us resurrect the program and bring it to you this evening. So we're very, very grateful to the Royal Bank. I want to introduce Eric LeBlanc. He's a Vice President Knowledge-Based Industries for Ontario at the bank. And Eric's going to just give us a few words of welcome. Eric's also one of our judges. So welcome, Eric, and over to you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone. As Jeff indicates, I am, Vice President for our technology and venture capital group here in Toronto. Very happy to be here this evening as a judge on behalf of RBC to celebrate the best in innovation and entrepreneurship excellence, and to witness the top 5 finalists for the TiEQuest 2020 competition. And let's see who gets first place. RBC has been a proud supporter of TiEQuest, as Jeff indicated, for the past 17 years. We commend TiEQuest for the great job you do on generating and nurturing the next generation of entrepreneurs through mentoring, networking, education, funding, and incubation. I would like to commend all of the benefactors gathering here tonight, as well as everyone who has worked so hard to put together tonight's event. Your time, energy, and dedication are reflected in this wonderful celebration. Look and feel a bit different this year, but the heart and purpose is stronger than ever. Good luck to all the finalists, and have a great evening.
Thanks, Eric. We also have some other sponsors that I want to acknowledge. They've also been loyal year after year, stood by us during these difficult times. So I want to recognize BDO, my firm, Fasken, the City of Toronto, Air Canada, Baylis Medical, the Biz Planner, First Angel Capital, and the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. So thank you to our sponsors. You know, TiE is quite an organization. It's a global network of entrepreneurs and professionals. Its mandate and mission is to foster entrepreneurship and nurture entrepreneurs. Today, there are 61 chapters in 18 countries, 15,000 charter members, and over 80,000 associate members. The membership is incredibly diverse, and its goal, as I said, is to help entrepreneurs to foster the next generation. Here in Toronto, we have a very active chapter and a very active board. Mahendra Naik. Mahendra, do you want to say a couple words about of welcome to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Jeff. Welcome to the 16th TiEQuest, and look forward to the competition and find out who the winner is. Special thanks to, of course, Royal Bank that Jeff mentioned, but a special thanks to Faskins and Jeff Dennis, who has led this for the last number of years in that. So thank you very much, Jeff, Faskins, and all the partners of Faskins on supporting this great event. So carry on.
Thanks, Mahendra. And just to acknowledge the other board members, Akash Menra, Kanchar Kumar, and Mohit Kirpalani. When things happen and there's crises that you have to deal with, it's good to have good people around a table to deal with these things. So thank you to the board. TI Toronto, as you heard from Eric, is focused on mentoring, education, networking, and raising capital. Our premier event is TiEQuest. We've been doing it, as you heard, for 16 years. Excuse me. Usually, sometime in early April, we have this huge event with 250 or 300 people, hors d'oeuvres, cocktails, TV cameras, the booths, 5 presentations. I mean, we call it a gala. I wasn't even sure, what to wear tonight, given that we're calling it a gala. Am I supposed to wear a jacket and tie? So I decided, for me, gala meant long pants. So here I am sitting at home in a gala mood and really wanting to see some great companies. We've helped a lot of companies over the years. We've given out lots of money. We've had hundreds and hundreds of mentors and judges participate. This year, back in December, we received over 100 applications. We did a online application review, and our judges picked 50 to move on to the elevator pitch round, which took place in early March. And then we were going to do our business plan pitch round of the top 25 on March 21st, but everybody knows what happened on March 16th. So we got stalled in our tracks. And after a little while trying to get our feet under us, we came back on Zoom. And over the last couple of weeks, we've had 5 evenings where 5 companies have pitched each evening, and 1 company has emerged to pitch tonight for the big championship. We've had over 92 mentors and judges help us through these rounds. These are leaders in the Toronto tech ecosystem, whether they be from the VC community, angels, entrepreneurs, past winners, lawyers, accountants, just people who want to see other entrepreneurs thrive and really just help them along their way. I'm not going to read all these names, but it's pretty impressive, the kind of support that we get year in, year out. So, kudos to our judges and mentors that have helped us navigate through the entire TiEQuest process. So I've already went over the history this year. We had our business plan pitches a couple of weeks ago or a week and a half ago. We have our 5 finalists, and they're going ahead tonight. Year in, year out, we see awesome companies. When I briefed the judges before we went live tonight, I said, your biggest challenge is it's going to be 5 great companies. Not only that, but it's going to be a bit of an apples and oranges situation where, people are in different industries. They're solving different problems. It's hard to compare a company in the medical space versus somebody in property tech, for example. Last year's winner was Genesis. They produced a plastic that's biodegradable, a game changer. They won TiEQuest, and then they went on to raise $4.5 million between grants and investments. They solidified a partnership with Sodexo, an international food catering company, and they commissioned a demonstration plant this year so that they can prove out their theory. And this company is really well on its way, and we're proud to have supported them early on in their journey. We've had lots of other companies. You can see the names on the screen. They're all past winners. They've all gone on to various degrees of fame and fortune. We're hoping to add another logo to this list for next year tonight. All right, so this is what they get. So the top 5, so everybody's going to TiEQuest. They were supposed to go this year. It was supposed to be in May, but it didn't take place. So they're going next year. But this is really great because they get to fly to Silicon Valley, to go to California, to go to this huge conference and represent Canada and Toronto at the competition. All 5 of them will be in the TiE top 50, competing for the global championship. They're going to get other prizes, including a charter membership in TiE Toronto and global. They're going to get $2,000 of in-kind services from Fasken, our firm, and $5,000 from BDO in-kind services. Now, the first place winner is going to walk out with a big check. Well, usually we have a big check, but digitally it's going to be a little harder. So we're going to have to do an e-transfer, I suppose, to maintain the spirit of this digital world. I also want to introduce our judges. You've already met Eric LeBlanc, but we also have Jennifer Cook, Corporate Lead National Women in Trade at the Export Development Canada, the EDC. We have Matthew Leibowitz, General Partner, Plaza Ventures, and and a founder and General Partner at Quayside Venture Partners. We also have Amy Dick, who is an associate at Framework Venture Partners, and Saif Hashmi, Associate Principal, IT Venture Fund at the BDC. Sorry. So now we're on to the main event. So our top finalists are Steadyware, TenantCube, LSK, Nerve Technologies, and Stan AI. We're going to start with TenantCube. So I'm going to unshare my screen and ask TenantCube Andrews to please share his screen. And as soon as he's set and ready to go, the timer will start and let the best team win. Good luck.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. I'm going to share my screen. I came on video too. Let me know when you guys are able to see my screen.
Okay.
It might take a couple of minutes. It's just loading. There you go. All right. So
Yep.
are you able to see my screen now?
Yep, we can see it.
All right, beautiful. So, I mean, I'll just give it 2 seconds to load and then I'll get started. Again, while we're waiting. Oh, perfect. There you go. Awesome. Thank you everyone for this amazing evening. First of all, I wanted to thank TiEQuest for putting this team together, the great event, and obviously RBC and all the sponsors. My name is Andrews Moses. I'm going to talk to you about TenantCube today. The TenantCube, we are in the property management space. So I'll start off with property management as an industry. So before I got into property management, I got in with this notion where it's 80% is going to be the fun stuff of meeting people, selling homes, like renting places. It's more PR and I'm going to have fun. And then 20% will be admin work to put the paperwork together. And then that's going to be a cool life for me. And then little did I know when I got in, this 20% of this admin work actually takes more than 80% of my time. So we said, you know what? Okay, that actually is not what I got in with. So I wanted to start you off with my story, how I got into property management. 3 men arrested for armed robbery in St. Catharines. One of this person was my first ever tenant in Canada. So he gave me a quick property management crash course for 3 months. I had to learn a lot of things around compliance, issues with dealing with tenant relationship, landlords, like even though there is illegal activity happening in the home, I don't have enough rights. Actually, the tenant had more right than me. So I kind of stepped there and said, you know what, there's 2 options here. Now that I know that I've gone through that, there's a lot of admin work. It's a lot of things. The tenants have more rights. And then I said, I can either get out of this business or figure out if I'm the only one and then see if there is an opportunity. So I decided to see if there is an opportunity and do some research. Now, in my research, I kind of landed up with three major things. So yeah, outdated technology is one of the big things that actually adds to your admin work. And then I also found that the biggest problem in this industry were bad tenants, because they take a lot of your time, energy, peace, and money, right? So you're always fighting fire, trying to deal with all the piling admin work and dealing with bad tenants, while you're missing out on a communication with your tenants. You're not really communicating with the good ones. So ending up losing that to competition, right? So right now you're just trying to deal with the bad ones while you're missing out on the good one. So we said, now that we know there is a problem, and it is a problem across the globe, let's look at the trends in the market. We figured out that the demographics are actually changing. 70% of the renters are under 45, and everyone's looking for a better service, because they're used to the Airbnb and the Uber service industry, and they want better experience. They don't want a single point relationship anymore. And then a new trend of co-living is also becoming bigger, especially with COVID. I think it's going to accelerate it, where everyone's going to try to move in and share accommodations and whatnot. So we said, now we understand that there is a problem. The industry's the technology is not there. And we know that the trend is changing. So we said, is there a way we can solve this problem? So we came up with this platform where we could build a complete renting experience for both landlords and tenants. To start off with the landlord, simple, easy way for them to list their properties, keep a tab of it, push it across multiple channels, easily onboard tenants online. A simple online smart rental applications gets them on board, they sign the lease, pay the rent, and off they go. And proactive communication. If there is any way we can actually proactively communicate and tell what the issues are, what are the building, everything related to tenant communication. And when there is a problem, if there is something wrong in the apartment or the unit, how do we communicate that and make sure everything is resolved and provide that experience at the same time? So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to build a complete experience platform. So we set out and started doing that. Now, and obviously before we built it, we wanted to see, is there a real opportunity in this market? So we started off with the North American market, which is about close to $11 billion in market, with about over 300,000 property management companies across North America. And then you look at the small, mid-sized businesses where you're about $8.5 billion, which gives us about a really good market. And we had plans for the next 8 years to get to a 1% of that market share. So our business plan gets us to 1%, which leaves us with about $80 million in annual recurring revenue. So that's kind of the opportunity. And then going back, I wanted to kind of show you what the competition today is. Obviously, it's a big market, so it's definitely a lot of companies in the space. So we started off, I wanted to segment it into different units, under 500 to your right and over 5,000 to your left. I'll start off with Yardi. It was built in the year I was born. That was how old the company is. And then RealPage, pre-2000. Along came Buildium, who started off at the small and mid-sized businesses range. They did a pretty decent job of building a good experience or online. They were just moving to SaaS market. They just got bought out by RealPage for about 600 million last year. And then there are some players who are catering to the small market space like Tenant Cloud. And if you look at this screen, you can actually tell that there is definitely, this market is due for disruption. And that's the opportunity we saw, that advanced technology with good experience will get us into that particular pocket that is not addressed. And how do we plan to do that? We want to build a mobile first product, obviously, because property management is a mobile business. No one's sitting in their desktop. And AI and machine learning is something most of these competition is missed out on, because they have so much data. There's a lot of things you could do with data and proactively help landlords and tenants manage their experience. And obviously, given that this is not a tech savvy market, we wanted to build it completely easy to use so that an end user will understand it. Even from a maintenance guy, they will understand it. Now, our go-to-market, our kind of strategy to win in this market is not to compete directly, in the sense that we do obviously be in the market. However, we want to collaborate with all the players in the market. So for example, Yardi, who's smart and great at accounting, we want to be able to integrate with them easily. Our system is built in such a way that it's easy to integrate. So we integrate with the Yardis of the world, and let's say Zillow for listing. We can easily integrate and provide an amazing service on top of the existing ecosystem, right? So that's kind of our initial go-to-market strategy. And to do all this, we know that it is a market that is competitive, it's big. So we wanted to build a great team, and this team brings in multiple experience with SaaS companies and scaling SaaS companies. I was number 7 at Freshworks. I was the founding team. Freshworks is a US-based company which is north of $3 billion in market cap right now. And I worked with Vijay at a unicorn startup, or a bootstrap startup, Zoho. We both had the same DNA. So when I had this opportunity, we both jumped on board to say, you know what, let's solve this problem. And we brought in Karthik, who's a product manager at eBay, and he has worked in multiple startups in the US. And one thing we wanted was the design. We wanted to have great design. And that's where I brought in Giant, who's one of the best designers I've worked with. When we were at Freshworks, he was really early on at Freshworks as well. And then for the sales, we brought in Darren, who's an expert in the $0 to $1 million the product market fit area. So we brought him on board, and we are actively hiring right now. We brought in a product marketer from Toronto. We are actually bringing in 2-3 engineers onto our platform. So we're actively growing. And how are we growing is simply because thanks to some of our customers, our beta customers that's on Plaid. If you look at it, we've kind of segment again through the segment. We have a lot of do-it-yourself landlords who are on our platform waiting for our beta access. We get feedback from them. We got some mid-tier, 3,500 properties, 1,400. And Panoramic is our lead customer who owns about 18,000 plus units across Ontario. And they are actually giving us feedback, and we're working closely with these companies. Now, if you look at it, we are actually blessed to have amazing top-tier VCs in our infrastructure, our partnership. So we raised a small round from Sequoia as a scout investment. Panoramic Properties, one of our lead customer, is actually investing in our company, or is invested in the company. Niagara Angel Network, a local network, has put in some cash that gets us enough 15 to 18 months runway. And we did all this during the COVID. So COVID did put a stop to a lot of things, but not to TenantCube. And then Axel is another partnership that we have built. We are first SaaS cohort at Axel, and we got a small grant from them to do that. And we are actively in discussions with both these firms. And that's kind of our investors who are kind of helping us and supporting us to get here. Now, before I kind of end it, I just want to leave with 2 things, right? If there's one thing that we kind of thrive on is that experience really matters today in this adapting to a new normal, right? Everybody's talking about new normal, especially given the property management space, which is a decade old and catching up on technology. It is the perfect time for them to reinvent themselves and digitalize themselves. And we completely understand that we are in the right time to help them get there and revitalize their business to adapt to the new normal. And that's all I had for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrews. What a great presentation. Guys, I just realized, thanks to Melanie for pointing it out to me, that I misspoke earlier. The Q&A is only 5 minutes for each company. I'm glad you told me before the first one. And we haven't started counting, so I just wanted to say that. Also, I just wanted to acknowledge and recognize the Redstone Agency, the firm that Melanie works for. They're our event planner. They've done an incredible job. They worked with us for the last couple of years live. And then when COVID hit, they not only pivoted their business to online events like this, but they helped us pivot. And so thank you to Redstone, and thank you to Melanie for keeping me on the straight and narrow. So we do now have 5 minutes for Q&A. Who would like to go first? Don't all jump in at once, guys. You killed it, Andrews.
No questions.
Jeff,
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff. Yeah, it's Eric. Maybe I'll just get us going.
Sure.
It's been a couple, I know we don't have very much time, but just around, thank you for presenting, your competitor frameworks and that space. Many times that's left out. But what is your competitive advantage, or why are you going to win at this?
Simply with our, we're going to go with a completely different approach. Like every business you look at in the market, they concentrate on the landlord as the core of the business. However, tenants are actually the core of the business. So we are building our software around making sure that the tenant gets an amazing experience at the end of the day so that the property managers can win. If tenants are not happy and if you can't onboard good tenants, you don't have a business. So if you look at every products out there, everything is focused on landlords. So we want to have a totally different kind of approach to this. We help the core of that business, which is tenants, and build an amazing experience for them. And again, it also helps them save a lot of time, right? So with the technology and the collaboration that I talked about, it's easy for us to easily, like you said, pivoting for you guys took 2 weeks or a month to do it. With our system being more open and API with open collaboration, it will be easy for us to align with any business or any operation and take them to the next level, which is something that the players in the market don't have that flexibility or that nimbleness to do that.
Thank you.
I can follow up with a question. Thanks so much for that, Andrews. That was really helpful. Can you just walk us through your pricing strategy?
Yep, absolutely. I do have some additional slides, just kind of high level. I didn't want to go through that in the 10-minute slide. So our plan is we want to kind of cater to a kind of a range of properties. So we started off with kind of a tiered model. So if you look at it, we'll have a free model for anybody who's less than 5 units. That comes with limited features, but we will use them as our marketing tool. Everything that they send out gets free marketing for us. We will have a professional and an enterprise plan that comes with certain units included. Any additional units based on their tier price, they will pay us a monthly fee per unit. And that's the kind of strategy. And again, it is similar to what competition charge. However, given the value add and our positioning will be kind of similar, and our pricing is economically priced.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Is that $29 a month?
Correct. A month per login. Correct.
Got it.
So admins will get this kind of a high level of pricing. If we onboard maintenance people or leasing agents, we will come up with a smaller price for them, so that all that they're doing is managing tasks. So we will come up with an additional pricing as well. So it gives us flexibility to scale as we grow, come up with new features, the new plan. It'll help us kind of scale our business as we grow.
So as you grow, what's the, what's your overhead going to look like? Because how do you provide, I mean, it's all software, but it seems to me that it's going to be a sort of a consultative sale, or is it all remote sales?
It will be a mix of both. It depends on the different segment. So if you're talking with 5,000 plus units segment, or between the 2,000 to 5,000, will require a little bit of consultation, given that the system, I mean, the customers are not tech savvy. So we have some kind of strategy where initially onboarding them we will have a customer success team that takes on, and our integrations with all their website and all that existing system will be provided to them by our team. So we will help them get there, like we will help them set up their business, our app, and align it to their business. And that's part of our strategy for higher end. And if you look at the lower end, the product will be easy to use. So landlords or tenants who come on board should be able to easily figure it out. And if not, we will provide remote support and remote assistance to help them get the best out of our system, which then gets us, I mean, the pricing is a little economical because there are multiple streams that we can grow into as we scale. There's a lot of services, a lot of different kind of approaches we can take once we have the database. And that's kind of going to be our goal down the road as well. Does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah, that's great. What about, like, does it need some expertise to integrate their existing systems?
It won't. And that's the advantage. Another, going back to our competition, will be that our system will be built in such a way that it's just a plug and play. You click on a link, you give your credentials, you get integrated, right? And that's the benefit we have with latest technology, versus if you're old school legacy system, you need to hire a consultant to come in and spend 6 weeks with you to kind of figure it out. And that's one of the disadvantages of our competition. And that's kind of going to work to our favor, that we can actually easily push things remotely wherever possible. And again, in the new world, remote versus enterprise. And I think we have a better edge to win remotely.
All right. Well, listen, that's your time. Thank you very much. Great presentation. So do us a favor and let yourself out, unshare your screen. I mean, you can hang out and watch the competition, please do so, but mute yourself and And thank you. Thanks. Great presentation.
And I think this panel is not competition. Their buddies are going to travel with me to TiEQuest and Silicon. So I want to listen to them for sure.
Good man. That's great. Thank you. So judges, you got a couple minutes now to fill in your scorecards, and we'll get the next presenter lined up while you're doing your job, and away we go. So Melanie, who's next? LSK, I think.
Next is Steadyware, but we're gonna just do a quick poll while the judges are finishing their scorecards.
Okay, so everyone, you're going to get a poll on your screen. Answer it. It's going to be sort of a dress rehearsal for the audience choice, the People's Choice Awards. We're going to do that voting in the same way. So I think you'll see a poll, a question on your screen. So answer the questions and get used to our polling system, because it'll come in and be important when we figure out who the audience choice winner is. Do I get to vote? No.
Not this time around.
No,
You'll get to for the important question.
So Mark, I think you should be able to share your screen. Well, here are the results. Well, most people got it right.
Is my screen visible?
Yep. Yes. So Mark, take your time when you're ready and get started. Melanie will give you 10 minutes, and I'll interrupt you at the end of 10 minutes. Whenever you're ready, fire on all cylinders.
Fantastic. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for organizing this wonderful event. My name is Mark Elias. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Steadyware. And our mission is to restore independence and quality of life to all those who suffer from tremors around the world. Imagine waking up one day not being able to feed yourself, drink a glass of water, or dress yourself. Essential tremor and Parkinson's disease cause debilitating hand tremors that make the simplest daily activities such as eating, writing, and drinking a real challenge. There's also a social component to this condition, as tremors very often lead to social isolation and depression. And that's why we've worked tirelessly to develop the Steady One, our beta version. The Steady One is a lightweight, compact, and responsive glove that stabilizes the wrist joint. It uses our novel battery-free damping technology, which combines a ball joint and a smart fluid to resist tremors while allowing voluntary motion. Our system is FDA registered, Health Canada approved, and patent pending. So here you'll see one of our beta testers, John. He has severe tremors. He's tried everything from medication to surgery. We've completed 50% of our clinical trial, and the top few results are great. 80% of patients have seen objective improvements in their daily activities, while 60% have seen meaningful improvements. And this completely correlates to our soft launch data, where 60% of the patients who use the device experience significant improvements in daily living activities. A brief note on IP. We have 2 filings that are both in the PCT phase, and our claims are quite broad, allowing for other potential applications in the future in robotics, camera tripods, construction equipment. So what solutions are patients currently resorting to? Well, we have medications such as propranolol and primidone. They were never designed for tremors and cause a wide array of negative side effects. We have weights such as weighted pens or weighted gloves. They cause a severe strain on the wrist as they only rely on weight for stability. Thirdly, we have the liftware spoon, a very elegant self-stabilizing spoon that helps with eating, but unfortunately it only helps with one activity at a time. And finally, we have emerging technologies such as GyroGear or Telehealth. They're both in the development stages, but suffer from the same issues. They're battery powered and are power hungry, so can only provide stability for half an hour to 45 minutes. And they're priced at over $5,000. So, looking at the landscape, it's very clear that the Steady series has a strong competitive advantage. Firstly, efficacy. It exceeds the efficacy of what's currently on the market as well as upcoming emerging technologies. We provide on-demand stabilization. The device is battery-free and can be worn at any time of need. And finally, it's very affordable at under $1,000. My apologies, there's a small lag. In terms of business model, we've incorporated an e-commerce model in North America. We sell our device through our web platform, supported by digital marketing strategies on Facebook, Google, as well as working with the International Essential Tremor Foundation. We're, of course, working with 50 neurology clinics across the US and Canada to make the device available for demonstration. On an international level, we're looking at a distribution model. We've secured an Australian distributor, and we have 3 others in sampling acceptance in Japan, South Korea, as well as Europe. This was a much bigger problem than we expected. There are over 230 million individuals with tremors around the world, 10 million of which are North America, with the Steady series benefiting 60% of the population. We project a total addressable market of $4.8 billion in North America alone. Looking at our unit economics, we've done some market development, and with digital marketing strategies alone, we've seen that it costs us $160 to acquire a customer. And of course, our objective with time is to reduce this customer acquisition cost and improve scalability. Looking at what we've done so far, in 2016 and 2017, we developed our first prototypes and completed alpha testing. In 2018, we signed our clinical trial contract, registered with Health Canada and the FDA, and completed beta testing successfully. In 2019, in the first half, we set up our supply chain, ramped up marketing development, and started our clinical trial. And of course, in the second half of the year, we conducted a soft launch for Steady 1 with 100 units deployed and an Australian distributor secured. Now, we've learned some invaluable lessons from the patients we work with during this launch. First of all, the device has to be under 1 pound. It's currently at 1.3, between 1.3 and 1.4. Secondly, the device has to have maximum 1 step to don and adjust. It's currently at 3. The main stabilization requirement occurs during drinking. Fourthly, production quality control at this point is too complex and costly to scale up. And of course, after surveying over 1,000 tremor patients, we learned that the sweet spot price point is at $500. And of course, we've incorporated all these lessons into the Steady 2, currently in development. The Steady 2 is the next generation tremor device. It's extremely lightweight at half a pound, simple to make, very affordable at $500, battery free, and our current tests are showing significant improvement. In fact, its performance is greater than the Steady 1. And of course, it's patent pending. Moving forward, our next immediate milestones include developing 30 Steady 2 units and deploying them to customers who are really waiting for it to gather their feedback, and of course, conduct a soft launch. Moving on to 2021, we would enter the scale-up phase with 2,000 units sold. In 2022, we would hit the $3 million revenue mark with 6,000 units sold. And of course, in 2023, we would see a 200% growth with an 8 to 10x exit through a medical device distributor. Of course, none of this is possible without our brilliant team. My background is in structural dynamics and entrepreneurship. Our co-founder Emil's background is in marketing and management. In the early days, we learned that both our families have tremors, and that's sort of, we made it our personal mission to solve this problem, and we never turned back. We, of course, work with Michel Saba. He's our research associate with a master's in biotechnology, and he has experience with drug development for Parkinson's disease. We have Sapna Patel, our operations manager with a master's in e-health. She has a lot of experience with hospital management, and she currently manages our logistical operation. Leonardo Arenero, our lead product designer, we've been working with from day one. Dr. Hadi Mohammadi, he's a vibration mechanics professor at UBC. And of course, Stefan Kamanzi, a PhD candidate working with Dr. Hadi. Our well-rounded board of advisors are veterans in serial entrepreneurship. We work closely with Charles Plant, Patrick McCartney, the director of the International Essential Tremor Foundation, Dr. Philip Rizek, a movement disorder neurologist who specializes in advanced treatments, and he's currently running our study. And finally, Fiona Gao, a full stack marketing specialist previously at Google and eSites. We've reached a critical stage in our company, and we need your help. Our next immediate milestones include building out a small batch of 30 units to deliver to customers and gather their feedback. And of course, accelerate the deployment of the second version at a larger scale. And with your help, we can overcome these milestones and deliver this much needed solutions for all individuals with tremors around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Terrific presentation. It's better every time I see it, so that's great. So judges, we've got 5 minutes for some questions for Mark. Who's got the first question?
I'll go.
Thanks.
It's a great presentation. Just on the status quo right now, so we have different devices, I assume. There's no gloves in the market already, or is there something? And this is much slightly better. And then if there's another status quo, which I've seen a few of them online, because I was shopping around for my mom who has the same disease. There's a spoon, and there's other stuff like for books. There are different devices for different activities. Do you have an idea of how big of a market altogether this is? Because this is sort of a one device, do it everything. So just comment on that.
Absolutely. So in regards to status quo, you're asking if there are any other devices that do this. There is one weighted glove that's currently on the market. So it purely relies on weights for stability. There is another customized device in California, but it doesn't target wrist tremors. It only targets some of the forearm tremors. So it's not highly effective. In regards to, sorry, the second half of your question, can you repeat that?
The market, overall market size, including all the different products.
Absolutely. So we're seeing transaction sizes of $4 to $6 billion, and that's only looking at medication. If you include cost of care, treatments, and doctor visits, in the United States alone, it adds up to $60 billion. So, the device market, if we include weighted gloves, if we include the liftware spoon, as well as medication, it's at least $3 billion as a status quo in terms of transaction sizes. I hope that answers the question.
Perfect, thanks.
Who's got the next question, guys?
Sure, Jeff, it's Eric. Mark, I was just wondering, do yourself or any of your management team have experience starting out medical device companies, or is this your first endeavor?
Well, this is our first endeavor, and with our first release and with the capital efficiency, we've learned quite a bit in this space. And in reality, the advisors, the neurologists, we're very well surrounded with the right individuals and the key opinion leaders. in this field.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
There's a question from the audience. They want to know whether the Study 2 requires further regulatory approval.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we already have our regulatory approvals for the Study 1. Given that the Study 2 is an upgrade on that technology, it just requires a very simple update on our regulatory documents. So it's a very straightforward process. It doesn't take more than a month, in fact. Yeah.
And the second question was about IP, the patent process. So the patent on Study 1 covers the Study 2 as well, or are there additional patents?
Yeah, so we actually, our patent portfolio includes the Study 1 and the Study 2. We recently filed for the Study 2. So it's a separate patent.
Very good. Any other questions, guys? We've got a couple minutes.
Yeah, Jeff, it's me. Yeah, good presentation, Mark. So how are you going to spend the $1 million that you want to raise?
Yeah, absolutely. So the $1 million will be directed towards growth efforts. So 35% will be allocated to marketing. And that includes, of course, deploying units to clinics and hiring a sales team to work and build international distributor networks. Number two, we would spend 25% on, of course, manufacturing overhead to support our growth efforts. Another 30% would be to bring on some key hires, a full-time operations manager as well as a marketing manager. We already have several candidates on our advisory board that are waiting for us to raise. And finally, the remaining 10% would go towards research and development, building on the Study series and improving with future devices.
Somebody in the audience is asking why the distributorship in Australia versus other countries, US, Canada, Europe.
Oh, well, with US and Canada, we have a local supply chain set up that really facilitates us delivering the units to customers, especially that they can simply order it online from our website. So from a regulatory pathway, it's simple. In North America, the best thing for us and for the customers is to stick to an e-commerce model. Internationally, it's of course better to go with distributors. There are separate regulatory requirements in each country, so it's easier to work hand in hand with them on that.
Any other questions, guys? We're kind of coming up to time, so if there aren't any questions, we'll just say thanks, Mark. Great presentation. And unshare your screen, and you're welcome to hang out and mute yourself to listen to the other presentations. Judges, we have 2 minutes now to do your scoring and your comments, please. And Melanie's going to pop up another poll question.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I appreciate it.
Well, we have a pretty well-educated audience. Wow. So, Saray from LSK is going next. So, Saray, why don't you join us on camera and share your screen? Thank you. And when you're ready, start whenever you're ready, and Melanie will time you. You've got 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes of question and answer.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes?
Perfect. So I'm going to start then. Thank you for having me. We are LSK Technologies, and we decentralize diagnostic labs globally. So as we all know, due to COVID-19 pandemic, 250, 100,000 tests per day are performed in US. And unfortunately, this is not enough. Twice more is needed. And today's problem is that the centralized testing. So when you feel sick, you go to doctor's office to get checked. And after an initial control, doctor sends you to a diagnostic facility where they collect a sample. While you're anxiously waiting, your samples are shipped to an offsite centralized lab. And in the lab, samples are processed by an expensive and bulky instrument that delays access to time-sensitive information. And this delay can go up to 4 to 5 days. For highly infectious and contagious diseases, unfortunately, as we all learned through COVID-19 pandemic, delays can be deadly. Based on years of research and millions spent in grant funding, we have developed an alternative analysis method that allows us to conduct the same tests in a more miniaturized footprint. Instead of using transmitted light, we use reflected light. And this allows us to get rid of moving sensors and replace them with a software enabled by image processing algorithms. This creates a low-cost and portable instrument with real-time data access. And as displayed in the picture, our device is about the size of a mini toaster. So here's how it works. The sample is dispensed into the cartridge, and then the cartridge is placed into the device. Then the results can be monitored through a tablet or a desktop. Based on our experiments, we can cover more than 80% of the existing clinical tests. So when you compare us to our existing competitors in the field, we are highly versatile, meaning that we can conduct different tests and more tests at the same time at an affordable price point. So the in vitro diagnostic market is currently valued globally at 45 billion with a 20 billion North American market size. Based on our estimated 80% coverage, we have a market size of about 16 billion. So now, instead of wasting days, you can get the result at the point of sample collection. So our initial customers would be doctors and hospitals, which will collect the sample and analyze it on the spot. But with the changing COVID-19 pandemic, we see our devices can be deployed in long-term care facilities, small businesses, cruises, as well as pharmacies in the future. So for doctors, our value proposition is that this allows same-day follow-up so that they can have a boost in revenue by charging the diagnostic testing as well as through the same day follow-up, and this will eventually bring them more new patients. So our devices to date had been deployed, 7 of them in Ecuador, Brazil, Colombia, and Canada for screening for Zika virus in patient samples in Latin America. The devices were hand-assembled prototypes that are working in the field today. With today's 25K investment, we are looking into offset our costs for turning our alpha prototype to a scalable product. Our goal is to enter the market with emergency use authorization in the fall and start scaling up our devices. For the fast-track market entry to address COVID-19, we can detect the viral RNA, so the active infection itself, or immune response against it, so through the antibodies that are produced by the body. We anticipate our tests to be conducted at a $50 Canadian per test price point, and we can conduct 47 tests per hour per device at max. So with these numbers, by having 20 devices running 24 hours, we can cover the testing that is currently conducted in Ontario to give a sense of scale. In order to receive our healthcare regulatory approval, we are partnering with Mount Sinai Hospital to have third-party in-lab validation of our devices. Upon successful validation, we will proceed with multi-site trials in Ontario, Ecuador, and Colombia. And this work has recently been awarded a $500,000 CHR grant in support. So there is a clear market in healthcare with 20 billion market size, and there's 7 doctors ready to purchase it, and there's 3 doctors signed up for paid pilots. But aside from that, there's a well-established market in research where we already pre-sold 3 units to. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a new market emerging for environmental sampling, which is valued at $4 billion. Our management team is composed of myself and my co-founder, Livia. I have an engineering background with master's in pharmaceutical sciences. I have previously co-founded a medical device company and worked at a pharmaceutical company before. My co-founder, our COO, Livia Go, has honors in pharmaceutical chemistry, and she also has master's in pharmaceutical sciences. Our team also includes Katerina Jeans, who has 2 years as a molecular biologic technician in a diagnostics laboratory at U of T, and Karim Sakir, who has 4 years as a full stack developer in the industry. In addition to that, our team includes Dr. Keith Pardee as a CSO, and he is currently the Canadian Research Chair for Synthetic Biology and Human Health. In addition to this, we have advisors Mike Lovinen, former president of Son of Pasteur Canada, Ron Hurtig, a senior engineering consultant at IC Interface Systems, and Paul Chipperton, former CEO of Profound Medical Inc., which went to IPO under his management. So to date, we have received funding from various competitions, totaling up to 300,000 Canadian dollars. We are currently summer batch of a top US accelerator. To date, we have filed our provisional patents, and we received 100% IP ownership from U of T. Our devices has been tested in the field and deployed in 4 countries with active users for our product. We are also in discussions for pilot studies with Eastern Health located at Newfoundland and Labrador. We are LSK, and we decentralize diagnostic labs. We are deployed in 4 countries. There is a 16 billion market size, and we enable lab tests at doctor's office. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to have any questions.
Girl, thank you so much. That was really good. Thank you, and a really, really interesting product right now. So the one question I had is, can you talk about manufacturing and what the timeline is, how long it takes to produce 1 unit of this, and then how much capital you foresee needing to do this?
Yes, that's a great question. So I'll take a step back and start talking about our prototypes. So our prototypes, unfortunately, takes 3 days to assemble one because it's all additive manufacturing, 3D printing and laser cut. But we are right now working with a contract manufacturer located at Mississauga called Aramat Design and Manufacturing. And they're right now in the transitioning our devices into a scalable product. So we anticipate our first units to be available towards the beginning of September, end of August. And we are looking into about 300,000 Canadian dollars to finance that. We currently have the financing for that, and we'll be raising further financing round at the end of August to scale up. And towards that, we are looking for a $2 million funding.
Any other questions? You know, you finished so fast, I couldn't get my camera on, so thank you for that. But so who else has got a question? There's one, there's a couple actually from the audience. Somebody asked, is there visibility on what happens inside the box through the IP filing? I guess he wants to read your application.
So we just filed our provisional patent, and that is to do with how we analyze the samples. So if you read it, you will see it. And there will be a publication regarding our studies with Zika field trials.
Somebody else from the audience asked, do you have to update the database of bacteria and I guess viruses as they appear?
Yes, so it depends on how you're tackling the test. So that's one of the things we want to tackle as we grow the company. Right now, the way we test for diseases is that the pathogen appears and then we develop a test for it. But by looking at different genes, in the future, we can be able to detect the different organisms without pre-preparing the test for it. So in the future, we want to go for a route that is a universal test. But yes, right now, based on the genes that we can detect. But in addition to that, I want to mention is that the SARS virus is not new. We knew this before. It's just a mutant of it. So maybe we might not be able to detect specifically what strain it is, but just knowing that we had a SARS virus circulating around could have been enough to protect borders.
Somebody asked how accurate the tests are.
That's a great question. Right now, we are in the development in terms of figuring out the sensitivity and specificity. We were able to get down to 30 copies. In terms of our Zika virus studies, we had 98.5% accuracy. So we expect similar results from this.
Any questions from our judges? There's still more from the audience. They're really interested in this.
How much are you anticipating retailing it for to the doctors? And is the model similar to a printer where the unit itself isn't going to be perhaps very expensive, or you sell it at a cost plus, but you sell them the toner, which is maybe the license or the tests?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that, please?
So right now we are planning on selling the device at $10,000, whereas our competitors are like to the scale that the testing can be done is around $100,000. So we think that this is still affordable compared to alternatives. But yes, the main revenue generator will be tests and also the software license.
Somebody in our audience wants to know about mutations. Are you able to identify mutations?
Not yet, not yet. We cannot identify the mutations just yet, but that will be something we will be working towards in the future.
And how does that compare to the standard the competition, the current model?
Yeah, so currently you don't identify the mutations either. So you just look into different genes. So if one mutates, you can still detect the other one, saying that the pathogen is there. So that's the approach most of the diagnostic companies right now is going towards.
Great. Judges, any other questions? I've got one more from the audience, but I want to give the judges their licks.
Jeff, can I ask a question?
Sure, Mahendra, thank you.
Yeah, very good presentation. Is the $10,000 cost for a doctor's office, let's say, reasonable, too much? I just want to get a sense for it, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you that our competitor who can only do a test per hour is charging the same price.
Okay. Now, how much effort is involved in training the doctor's office staff? Is there a lot of effort involved, or is it pretty straightforward?
No, it's quite straightforward. We have a custom user interface, a graphical user interface that walks you through the steps. So it is not a big hassle to get trained on this.
The question from the audience asks about South America, and I guess they're wondering why these other jurisdictions. I presume it has to do with regulatory compliance. Is that right?
Yeah, so for our Zika virus studies where the virus was there, we had a great experience working with them. in terms of access to patient samples and the volumes of it. That's why we're going towards there for our initial studies. That's just by experience. And also, as you mentioned, the regulatory is easier there to do these kinds of tests.
Well, unfortunately, thank you. That's a great answer. And we've got all sorts of questions, but unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to cut it off there. Thank you for a wonderful presentation yet again. We saw it last week and it was great then.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome and good luck. Please let yourself out, or you can stay to watch, but you've already unshared your screen. So judges, you have 2 minutes to fill out your scorecards and your comments, please. And we're going to do another poll. And there it is. And Melanie, who's next?
Nerve Technologies is next.
All right. So Nerve, once we're finished with the poll, you'll be able to share your screen and away we'll go. Ah, there you are. How are you?
Sounds good. Good. How about you?
Good to see you, Amr.
Good to see you as well, Jeff. How's it going?
Terrific.
Awesome.
So just hang tight for a minute or two and then
Sure.
we'll get going. It's nice to see such a good audience. I see a few familiar faces or names. Some raving fans, some longtime TiE supporters. So it's nice to see. So thanks for joining us. I think you'll agree that we're seeing some outstanding presentations and great companies, and it's pretty clear that the future of technology in Canada is in good hands. So Amr, in a minute or so, or second or so, you'll be able to share your screen. And then whenever you're ready, you can start. Melanie will give you the 10 minutes and then I'll interrupt and we'll have 5 minutes of Q&A.
Sounds good. Good to go on my end.
I can see your screen, so whenever you're ready, let her rip.
All right, sounds good. I'm pretty sure at least one person in the audience today has been in this position before. You're sitting next to a loved one after a surgical procedure and you're concerned about them. You're not sure if they're recovering well or if they're potentially suffering from a complication that we're all completely blind to. And this is how the standard of care looks like today. If a surgery happens and a complication develops, we usually have to wait for symptoms to present themselves before we can begin examination and then diagnosis and finally treatment. This 2 to 3 day window that you see over here between when the complication actually develops and when treatment can begin can sometimes mean the difference between life and death for some patients. And for those that end up surviving the complication, their quality of life goes down and costs start to increase significantly. In short, this is considered to be a delayed and reactive way to handling post-operative care. Now, the surgeries that happen are numerous and the complications that can arise can vary. However, we decided to initially focus on general surgeries and one particular complication known as anastomotic leakage, which has been the bane of intestinal surgeries for decades. Essentially, in these procedures, what would happen is that they would remove portions of the GI tract to remove a tumor or treat a disease and then reconnect them with staples and sutures. Unfortunately, however, because of various reasons, including changes in tension along the GI tract, lack of blood supply across the surgical site, or quote-unquote surgical error, that staple line can sometimes get cut open and content from within the GI tract would leak into the abdominal cavity. Now, this problem happens more often than what people would think. It actually arises in 8% of patients. When it does happen, mortality rate tends to be north of 10%, and we see an average increase of $50,000 per leak incident. So at Nerve, we've developed sensors that augment an existing tool that is being used today as part of the standard of care, which is the wind drain and the reservoir over here, in order to analyze the nature of the fluid that leaks into the abdominal cavity. And based on that analysis, provide the post-operative care team with a live dashboard that shows them how the patient is recovering. There are a few key attributes to our solution that differentiate us and provide us with our competitive edge. First and foremost, being the plug and play capabilities of this device. All it takes is to take the device, insert it into the catheter, and within less than 20 seconds, you have a working system that can provide you with continuous information about the patient post-operatively. The surgeon who used this device as part of our clinical studies was fairly impressed with how slick the design was and how fast it was to integrate it. Eventually, he actually became one of the investors in the current seed round, which is something that speaks a lot of volumes to the work that we're doing over here and shows the value that we're providing to physicians. In addition, it's considered to be a bedside integration tool, so it allows for patients to actually be monitored without having to move around, and it allows for telemonitoring so that the patient can be discharged early from the hospital. Now, in order to better understand how this works, the drain itself gets placed near the surgical site, and by simply squeezing the reservoir over here, the negative pressure forces the fluid to come to the outside, go across the sensors for analysis, and then gets uploaded in front of the post-operative care team, as you can see, for analysis. Now, you might be wondering, if this is such a big problem, why hasn't it been solved before? And a matter of fact is that a lot of companies have been looking at this problem, but from different angles. Initially, there's the classical or surgical approach towards improving stapler guns that are utilized as part of surgery in order to prevent misfiring from the stapler. And companies such as Medtronic and Ethicon, who are leaders in this space, have been working continuously on improving that. However, leaks can still occur because of clinical factors, and no matter how good of a stapler gun you have, leaks can still happen, and at which point this solution offers no diagnostic value. When we look into the second bucket, which is the imaging space, we can see that there have been advancements in fluorescence imaging, where companies have been trying to intraoperatively determine the blood supply flow to the region of the surgery in order to identify if a leak can potentially happen. However, there have been obstacles and hurdles towards the adoption of such solutions, including how expensive they are, how difficult they are to integrate into the operating room, and how much training it requires by surgeons in order to use this device. This takes us to the last and third bucket, where we have uniquely positioned ourselves to be the first and only company out there right now that is working on a continuous solution for monitoring for leaks in a cost-effective manner and in a way that doesn't require an extensive amount of training. Now, the market opportunity is immense. There are north of 70 million general surgeries performed annually around the world. Initially, we're looking at the US market, which is one of the biggest markets. And we even honed down on a beachhead market of 1.7 million surgeries where we believe we'd have the most impact. To date, we've developed our core sensing technology. This sensing technology has been tested in animal models where we were able to identify leaks within minutes, which represents a major leap compared to the current standard of care. We've also started our clinical studies where we tested this device on 10 patients in order to see how patients and physicians would deal with the device, and also to understand what the baseline looks like, so what a healthy patient would look like. Unfortunately, COVID hit, which put a little bit of a dent in our clinical study plans, but we're moving forward with our regulatory submissions as we gear up for an FDA pre-submission so that we're ready to submit to both the Health Canada and FDA by the end of this year and early 2021. This will lead up to hospital pilots towards mid-2021, where we hope to start commercializing this technology. To date, we've raised just under $2 million in funding, and we're actually closing up on a $2.5 million seed round at the moment, where we have 100% of the amount committed. That round is expected to oversubscribe. We were supposed to close last week, but we've extended the round as we had a bunch of investors still interested in participating. This will eventually lead up to a 10 million Series A in order to commercialize this technology. The device itself expects to sell for $600 a unit, and we're targeting tertiary institutions and hospitals that tend to do a high volume of these procedures. And given the patient population that we're targeting, we anticipate roughly 1,500 surgeries per hospital per year, allowing us to generate a gross revenue of just under $1 million per hospital per year. These are just some of the institutions that are part of our clinical studies and will be early adopters of this technology. But at the end of the day, we do realize that surgeons are going to be the advocates for this technology in order to move it forward. And we've seen legislation in the United States move towards the direction of telemonitoring, where there are codes right now that incentivize physicians to use devices that have remote patient monitoring capabilities. This is my second family and the A-Star team that is working on Nerve today. We have individuals with product and business development experience, with two of us as founders running our second startup. We also have individuals with tens of publications under their belts in the fields of electrochemistry and biosensors. and individuals who have previously worked at Health Canada, understanding the regulatory and quality that is needed in order to get a medical device to market. We understand that we're a young yet ambitious team, and that's why we've partnered up with advisors who have a ton of experience in the space, whether it be on the medical, regulatory, product development, or commercialization fronts. And I'd like to highlight one key individual on the slide, Dr. Ori Rothstein, who's the chief of surgery at St. Michael's Hospital and a key opinion leader in the general surgical space. And through his work and the work of Dr. Nato, we've actually been able to open a ton of doors that have moved this company forward. Now, a lot of companies usually like to talk about their IP as a way to demonstrate their unfair advantage, which is something that we're proud to own. However, we feel we have two other layers of protection that make Nerve stand out in the market, one of which is our proprietary manufacturing method that allows us to batch manufacture our sensors at a cost-effective manner. We also are collecting data and will continue to collect data that is currently not even present in literature. And that data will unlock a tremendous amount of value to physicians, patients, and healthcare systems moving forward. This is my pride and joy slide, as I like to call it. Recently, we've been able to get letters of intent from institutions such as Cleveland Clinic indicating their interest in participating in our upcoming pilots. And this is a growing number of pilot sites that we anticipate to continue to grow as we reach a commercial level. We've also been able to raise more than $1 million from awards and government funding, and we have partners on board who have a vested interest in this company and want to see it succeed. Most recently, I'm proud to announce that we came first at the first ever Entrepreneurship World Cup, coming ahead of more than 100,000 companies from 100 different countries around the world, and gaining the recognition of some world-renowned investors. Some of them are known to be even notorious, such as Kevin O'Leary, who has identified Nerve to be an up-and-coming company in the medical device space. We've also closed off 2019, winning the JLabs at Texas Medical Center Breakthrough Medical Technologies Award, being one of 3 companies worldwide to receive such an award. Finally, I would like to bring us back to the vision of Nerve, which is to be a pioneer in the post-operative care space. And to do that, we'll continue to develop sensors that allow us to enter into other verticals in the future. The data that we will continue to collect will allow us to transform the monitoring tool we have today into a diagnostic tool in the future. And the remote patient monitoring capabilities will unlock a ton of doors for us post-COVID. Finally, this platform technology can actually be utilized in other surgeries beyond general surgeries, such as orthopedic, neurology, plastic, and thoracic surgeries, where there's one common element. A drain is being used and fluid is extracted, which is deemed to be wastage fluid, when in fact it contains a ton of data about the patient. I'm Amr Abdul Jawad. We are Nerve, and we will not stop until post-operative complications are a problem of the past. Thank you.
Awesome. My only regret that we're online is you can't hear everybody at home like applauding, right? It's the silence, but I can assure you that it was a great presentation. Thank you. So we've got 5 minutes for questions. Who wants to kick off with the first question?
Sure, Jeff, it's Eric. Great presentation, absolutely. Just wondering, and I think you answered a little bit on your last slide, with regard to, at the beginning, you were speaking of, gastric a little bit and then 70 million surgeries. But I'm just trying to get a sense of what's your addressable market today and what's the addressable market down the road?
Yep. So today we're actually focused on 3 particular surgeries: acute trauma, colorectal, and bariatric surgeries. These are the ones that we're beginning with. We feel that with our solution, we'd actually be able to add a ton of value in terms of early detection of leaks. Some of these surgeries either face a high leak rate, such as 20% leak rate for colorectal surgeries. Others don't see a high leak rate, but such as bariatric surgeries, for example, but they do see patients coming in with comorbidities, that if they do suffer from a leak, it becomes fatal for them and deadly right away. So these are the ones that we're going to start with and focus with initially. However, this can be applied to other surgeries in the general surgical space, such as hepatobiliary surgeries, for example, which include the pancreas, gallbladder, and liver. And some of these surgeries also tend to see higher leak rates, anywhere between 5 to 10%, but their volumes are not too high. So we're going to move into those eventually in the future, and then expand into general surgeries worldwide, hopefully starting with the US, then moving into Canada. We also have hospitals and institutions on board in Saudi Arabia to begin with. And we do have medical device distributors as investors on board to help us tackle and open up these market opportunities for us.
Okay.
There's a question from the audience about your revenue model. So what are you doing? Are you selling the monitor and then licensing the software and the data? And then what about the aggregated data?
Yep, so that's a great question. Initially, we're selling the platform as a software and hardware as one unit. We still don't have enough data to allow us to understand what a leak looks like, and that's something that will be developed moving forward. Eventually, the idea is to sell the software as a service on its own as a diagnostic platform once we get to market. And you might have noticed it on the slides where we say that we're going to go through another round of regulatory approvals to sell software as a medical device. So that will be the second product that we'll sell, which has the data piece, which offers the diagnostic value. But initially, a one-time sale as a single-use hardware device.
And then you'll collect the data and do the analytics so that you can then provide diagnostic and other sort of proactive advice.
Exactly.
Does the patient have any ownership over the data as well from a privacy perspective?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Actually, from a privacy standpoint, we are working towards making sure that this is HIPAA compliant. We're not exposing the patient to a ton of data because at this point, it'll just paranoid the patients significantly when they're continuously seeing readings and numbers that they might not really understand what their value is. So we're limiting the amount of information that is being presented just to the post-operative care team, the nurses and the physicians.
We have time for one more question, judges. Anybody have a question?
Sure, I'm
Jeff.
curious. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I would just follow up with on this current slide. So the milestones to be accomplished. So what else do you have to do with manufacturing? I know you mentioned you have a proprietary manufacturing process. So any more insight on that?
So that will be mainly to upscale our manufacturing. Right now, we do have a number of prototypes that would allow us to get into a little bit of the first phase of our clinical studies. But in order to proceed and actually be able to cover the first 150 patients that we're going to go through in terms of our clinical studies, we need to upscale our manufacturing capabilities. So some of the funding will be going towards that. As I mentioned as well on the slides, some of the funding will go through for clinical pilots as well as regulatory approvals.
Got it.
Well, Amr, that's it. We're at the end of time. Outstanding presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thanks a lot.
So we've got 2 minutes now, judges, to fill in your scorecards. Our audience will answer our poll, and then the next contestant will join us. So Max, I think you're next.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you. We're just wrapping. Yeah, we can hear you. You've got a nice sort of shade of purple and pink going on, but it's it adds to the festive.
We're tan. We're tan. The bald head doesn't help, does it? Looks like we're on fire.
No comment.
It's a brotherhood, Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm trying to join the club.
Yeah, I feel your pain. So guys, share your screen,
Okay.
and whenever you're ready, just get going, and you got 10 minutes followed by 5 minutes of Q&A, and then we're done.
Okay, perfect. Just pull it
Thanks,
up
Jeff.
here. Should be able to see in a second. Can you see it full screen on your end? Looks like it's showing here.
Yeah, it looks great.
Perfect.
All
Well,
right.
I'm Max Goodell. This is my co-founder, Bogdan Reich, and we're very excited to introduce you today to Stan, the first in AI property management. Now, we applied to TiEQuest last year when we only had one building, and we went all the way to the semifinals. We're back this year with over 100 buildings, and we want to win it all. Because in the next 90 days, we're going to more than triple again in size, and the TiEQuest prize will help us bring on those new clients. And since presenting only 7 days ago, would you believe that we've grown another 20%? We started Stan just last year, and we're already government backed and Amazon approved. We were finalists in FedEx's National Business Contest, winners of George Brown's annual DigiFest Prize, and winners of the Rogers Innovation Award. And on our list of current clients, you'll already find the 3 largest management companies in North America and the largest private home builder in North America. We started Stan right here in Toronto, and we're already live across North America. In fact, 90% of our business is coming from clients in the US alone. And in the middle of a global pandemic, now more than ever is a time for Stan. We've actually grown more than 10 times since COVID-19 started. And a lot of that is because we're the first virtual property management solution. So our property management clients are relying on us to promote safe living in their communities, allowing their teams to work remotely, send important health updates by text, and practice social distancing amongst residents. And property management continues to show that it's recession-proof. Not only have we grown during this pandemic, but during the last global recession, you may be interested to know that the largest management company in North America grew its revenues 25%, and that was from 2007 to 2009. And while the government of Canada continues to divert hundreds of millions of dollars away from normal business programs and grants, we're very proud to say that Stan was just awarded a full IRAP research grant and was just named one of only 3 companies in the province to receive the first York Region Innovation Award. A lot of which again has to do with not only the work we're doing in AI, but also to promote safe living. Now, the problem is actually something we know very well because Bogdan and I lived it. We used to be property managers ourselves, and if you've lived in a condo or an apartment yourself, you probably know how unresponsive your manager can be. But a lot of that isn't their fault. If you're a property manager, you wake up every single day and have to wear many hats. You have to be an accounting expert, a maintenance expert, deal with legal issues, manage an on-site team, handle a board, be on call 24/7 for any emergencies in your building. And on top of all of that, you get over 100 emails and calls every single day from residents just like yourselves, asking things like, where's the pool? Or how much is the key? But we know from our personal experience that 60 to 80% of a manager's day can be automated based on the types of inquiries they receive. And this is an opportunity we need to look at now because in the next 8 to 10 years, more than half of us are going to be living in condos and apartments. So 3 of us decided to find a solution. Bogdan and I spent 15 years working for the largest residential management company in North America. And Kayvon has over 10 years of AI development experience, and he actually worked with Ben Gertzel, one of the gentlemen who helped coin the term general artificial intelligence. And we created the solution, Stan. Stan is the first AI assistant for property managers that responds to all resident inquiries, so they don't have to. And it works all by text message. There's no apps, software, logins, or downloads for a manager. So now if you're a condo resident or apartment resident, rather than email, call your property manager, visit their office, you just text Stan. Whether it's booking the elevator, complaining about a noisy neighbor, reserving visitor parking, Stan responds instantly 24/7. Because we can automate a majority of a property manager's day, we're saving management companies an average of $42,000 in labor per community every year. But what does this all mean? Let's show you a real life example. This is a photo of one of our newest clients, Sun River in Utah. This is a retirement community, so you have to be 65 years of age or older to live there. There's over 5,000 residents, so it's about triple the size of Canada's largest condo. And they needed a way to safely reopen their amenities with COVID restrictions loosening in the state. So they chose Stan. In a matter of days, we had them fully onboarded, management didn't have to lift a finger, and we had a local phone number set up for owners to text. And on the day 1 of going live, we got over 1,000 messages in the first few hours alone. And that pace has kept up ever since. So these are now inquiries that never have to go back to management. So that team's freed up to work on more important things at the property. How does the technology work? Well, let's say you texted Stan something comment or simple like, are there any notices for my condo? A few things need to happen next. First, Stan needs to understand the request. So we built a natural language processor specific to the condo industry and fed it millions of data points. We then wrote our own machine learning algorithm so Stan can get smarter with every conversation. And we added integration so Stan can talk to any existing condo software platform. That means it can be used by any building in North America. And the result is this. Stan can answer a question like that and tell you there is a notice, can tell you about the notice, can attach the notice document in the text message, and even go as far as to add it to your calendar.
Stan's already trusted by 28 of the largest companies in the industry. On our list of current clients, you'll find the 3 largest property management companies in North America, Ontario's largest, North America's largest private home builder, and one of the most prestigious brands, hotel brands in the world. But what we're most excited to share with you today is Stan's growth. We started this year with 2,500 units. We were at 25,000 units, but with our most recent growth that we mentioned this past week, we've grown 12 times to over 30,000 units. And with our current wins, we're going to more than double in the next 90 days. And by year's end, we're expecting to double again to over 125,000 units. But the best part is this number right here, 1,002,000. That is the total number of units of our current clients today. And at that size, we'll be servicing more units than the 3rd largest management company in North America. So now let's take a look at the market. There are 70 million condo and apartment units in North America. Our monthly fee of $1.50 per door, which is in line with other software platforms that are less functional and don't have any AI capabilities, that makes it a $1.3 billion market. And that number jumps to $30 billion globally. So where does Stan fit into all this? Well, with our current pipeline, at our current rate, Stan is on pace to become an $18 million company in annual recurring revenue in just the next 24 months. And to put that into perspective, that's less than 1% of market share, which means it's very doable. And now take it one step further. Having access to this many units will open up additional revenue opportunities for us, earning from partnerships like insurance, payment processing, in-suite maintenance, cable and internet, and even in-home services, which are things like dry cleaning, dog walking, in-home cleaning and installation services, and more. All of this will multiply our annual revenue by more than 10 times. Our direct competitors. Well, the first, there was a startup out of Toronto that built a chatbot for condos. They weren't able to secure a single client and are no longer in business. Then there's a group out of San Francisco. They built a web application answering tenant questions in rental buildings. They also had some challenges getting paid clients and weren't able to get past 800 units. They've since pivoted to a different business. And then there's 2 groups out of the UK. They use AI to connect tenants in rental buildings to local trades, like plumbers and handymen. One is in its pre-revenue stage, and the other has a 1,000-unit pilot community. And then there's Stan. As we mentioned to you today, we're across Canada and the US, answer all question types, and are at 30,000 units and counting.
And we've shown you a lot already, but really everything we've said so far in our mind is really just a start. With the way we're growing, we're on pace to become the largest repository of residential data in North America. And we want to leverage that information to actually build a predictive platform that could autonomously manage properties. So imagine this, you leave your condo one day, you accidentally left the water running. Imagine if Stan could tap into leak detection sensors in your building, shut off the water source, save a 40-story flood and a $20 million insurance claim, and send you a quick text to let you know what just happened. Or maybe you have a visitor who's coming over who needs a parking pass, and Stan could scan their license plate with the building cameras, automatically sign them in, let them into the parking and up to the lobby, and send you a quick text to let you know when your guest has arrived. That's really the way that we want to go. There's a lot of talk about smart cities these days, but smart cities haven't fully arrived because they require smart property management. Stan is going to be the smart property management solution that will allow smart cities to exist. And even though we've shown you our growth, we're still very much a startup, and the TiEQuest prize will go a long way in helping us continue to grow. Bogdan and I started in the basement. We put all our personal savings into starting this business and are still the 2 owners of the business. And we continue to invest every penny back into our ongoing growth. The TiEQuest prize will help us continue our AI development and research so that we have the functionality to actually bring on those 1 million units in our pipeline. So we'd love for you to choose Stan this year for the TiEQuest prize, and just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, guys. What a great presentation. Outstanding. Boy, do the judges have a tough job. I'm glad I don't judge. It's so much easier being the host. So I guess the obvious question that I have is, how are you different from the first guy? I mean, I know it's text versus, but I mean, is he in a different market? Help the judges out. Who's better, you or them, and why?
No, it's a great question. It's actually, we look at it as a different product or service. So what TenantCube is doing some great work really in the resident portal space, and they've highlighted some of their competitors, Yardi, and some others, which in our platforms we also integrate with. We're really going after the labor side of things. So a lot of buildings have full-time administrators, or might have kind of 2-to-1 ratios of kind of labor. And what we're really doing is we're providing an automatic assistant. You still need those platforms if you're a property management company. That's become very universal. But what we're doing is really changing the labor setup. We're allowing, give you an example, we have a client here in Toronto where she was able to double her management portfolio by having Stan there. She would still use a platform like a TenantCube or competitor there. We have another development where the developer was going to put in a full-time admin assistant to help that manager, put in Stan instead, save the condo corporation $50,000, and now residents can answer in seconds versus an average of 5 days in this industry. So it's just a different space to answer your question, Jeff.
So the judges still have a tough job, I guess. Okay, I get it.
I guess so. We wanted to make it tough.
Yeah. All right. Judges, who's got a question?
Sure. So my question is around your pipeline. So you said you have about $1 million in the pipeline. So what's the bottleneck, and how are the funds going to speed up this process? And how long essentially will it take to get these into revenue?
Yeah, for sure. So that 1 million units is the total portfolios of current clients. So really what we're doing is scaling within portfolios, which is great. And we've kind of gone the sales down to a bit of a science. We call it the 10-10-10 rule. So once we get a client on, we go from about direct mail prospects, 10% convert to demos, 10% convert to paid clients. And then once a client goes live, they multiply the number of units with Stan by about 10 times in approximately 60 days. So what we're really doing is scaling on there. That's because we're still, this has been kind of the first real year for Stan. So you've got a lot of clients who are still kind of trying it out, growing it within the portfolio. And what you'll see is you'll start seeing those clients convert more and more of their portfolios onto Stan. So what the funds are going to go towards is really around that AI research. We're actually working on building a generative knowledge graph, which has never been done in the NLP space. And what that would allow us to do is start taking on more and more of these labor functions for these clients, so they're more enticed to give those units right up front. But even at kind of current trajectory, that's why we're projecting to bring that on in the next 24 months.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Somebody in the audience is asking about your revenue model. Can you remind us how that works?
Yeah, it's a monthly subscription fee. So depending on the client, depending on the state. So when we first started, we had some free pilots that went out. We no longer have any free pilots. Anytime we're entering a new market, depending on the client as well, number of units, there's some economies of scale that allow us to kind of bring the pricing down for them. But it is a monthly subscription fee to the client, either based on the number of units or the building sizes that are coming on.
And it's $1.50 a door per month.
I see.
Yeah.
Can you?
So I have another question here. They're asking about the artificial intelligence. What functionality does it provide?
In terms of, so the whole idea with the AI is we've built a conversational model that really mimics you talking to a property manager. So we'll touch on what that means is you can ask anything under the sun related to your condo. So it could be what's the size of my HVAC filter? Can you diagnose this leak? I'm not sure if it's common area or in suite. So we'll touch anywhere from about 500 to 1,200 unique data points per building, but in a conversational way. So what Stan is not, you don't get kind of a menu-based tool that says, hey, press 1, or say elevator if you want to book the elevator. We're really diving into the intents. So give you kind of very high level, non-complex example. Someone might say, hey, I'm moving in. But the true intent there is I need to get my payment set up. I need to book the elevator. I need to do this. So it's really understanding the flow and the true intent of what someone is going to actually need to accomplish. That's really what we're building. And it's gotten to the point where we do have buildings that they've actually confused Stan for the property manager of the community.
And of course, the name is the typical name of a property manager superintendent, I guess. Is that what, you know, Max was taken or what?
I guess so. Stanislav was taken, so we're two Eastern European guys. So but it actually stands for your smart texting assistant now.
All right. So we have time for one more question. Does the judges have one? I've got one here. I'm just looking at the audience questions. Somebody asked, is there any churn?
We knock on wood, we have not churned a client since launch.
Well, that's the right answer on the last question. So
yeah.
I think, you know, it's the old story, you leave on a high note. So
hopefully that whoever asked that question, hopefully they didn't jinx it. Or
I think it was Stan. Anyhow, guys, thank you very much. What a great presentation. Please unshare your screen.
Will do.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well done, guys. It was great. So, judges, complete your scorecard for Stan. And I think that's it, right? So I think what now happens is the judges, once they've completed the scorecard, are going to mute themselves and go on a conference call. Now, Melanie, am I going on the conference call? Or
nope. Esther from the Redstone office is going to be monitoring that call for us.
Okay, so judges, I'm not going to be on the call, so you're going to be left to your own devices. Your task now is to rank our contestants 1 through 5. Number 1 is going to be the champ. And so you should probably fill out your own ranking and then compare notes on the call. Rumble, do whatever you got to do, but come out with a agreed upon ranking and let me know. And then we're going to announce a winner shortly. So judges, start your deliberations, please.
Start your engines.
Start your engines. So for everybody else, we're very pleased to introduce Robert from Genesis. So Robert, if you want to come on live here, there you are.
Yes, hello.
How are you? Welcome.
Doing well.
So could you, if you want, I presume you want to share your screen. There you go. And just to remind everybody, Genesis was our winner last year. And as you will recall, after TiEQuest, they raised over $4.5 million. They entered into a pilot project. I'm going to let Robert tell the whole story. I mean, I don't want to steal his thunder, but, and they also started their pilot project, their plant. Genesis, if I got it right, is a biodegradable plastic. It solves the problem of all the packaging and single-use packaging and much more. So please, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Genesis, the 2019 TiEQuest winner.
Awesome.
Take it away.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for inviting me here today. So yeah, Genesis, at Genesis, we use biotechnology to transform low-value waste into high-value materials, such as bioplastics. And every year, over $50 billion of premium plastics are discarded, causing this huge global human health and environmental crisis. And there is a solution. It's called PHAs, or polyhydroxyalkanoates. They're a natural biopolymer produced in bacteria, and we can actually extract these polymers and turn them into plastic resins. You could almost think of them as the fat of bacteria, and they're completely biodegradable in marine and terrestrial environments and home compostable. What we do at Genesis is we're able to transform them into premium food, medical, and 3D printing type applications. One traditional problem in the past is that they've been too expensive to implement at commercial scale. But at Genesis, we've developed a technology that allows us to take food waste and use bacteria to transform that into PHAs. And by doing so, we can significantly reduce the cost of production of these polymers, as well as offset a huge amount of petroleum plastic pollution from traditional plastics production. And one thing we realize is that in the world, there's over 1.3 billion tons of organic waste. And using current waste management infrastructure, only about 1% of the value of this waste is captured. And right now, biogas is the best alternative for capturing food waste and transforming it into energy. But with Genesis, we can actually produce 10 times the revenue output of biogas and tap into that existing infrastructure. So at Genesis, we started in 2017. At the time, we weren't super well capitalized, so we used rice cookers as our first bioreactors. But using TiEQuest funding, it allowed us to buy some analytical equipment and scale up to our 4,000 square foot pilot facility. Just in the past year, we've done a 3 times scale up with the National Research Council. And by next year, we actually plan to do a 10x scale up of our pilot plant. Sodexo, the global food services company, is one of our public partners, and we've processed over 6,000 pounds of food waste from their different clients and offset over 2,000 kilos of CO2 emissions. And in Q1, and I wouldn't even really say Q2, but Q1 alone, we've done a lot of work at Genesis. We produced thin films as well as some harder type plastics to really demonstrate all of our functionality across the spectrum. We also did some preliminary biodegradation testing. So as you can see in that image here, we put some of our thin films on soil. In just over 5 weeks, 90% of the films biodegraded. And in Q1, we also went through Y Combinator through the winter batch and won the Novo Nordisk Innovation Challenge, actually not using food waste as a feedstock, but by using waste from medicines production as a feedstock for the production of bioplastics. So as you mentioned before, we've raised over $5 million to date, and also a $2 million SDTC grant from the Government of Canada, as well as a plethora of different competitions, including TiEQuest. And this really comes down to our award-winning team. When we last presented in November, we were a team of 14, and we've since grown to 16. Luna, our CEO, has built previous profitable startups. Abdul, the COO, has managed teams of over 70 people. Brad Witt, our CFO, was one of the early employees of Dow NatureWorks, which commercialized one of the first bioplastics PLA. One of our new recent additions is Patrick, the director of engineering with over 30 years of experience, and Haas is leading the way on the science team. So what we do at Genesis, as I mentioned, we take food waste and transform it into these bioplastics. But by optimizing our bacteria further, we can drive down the cost of production of these bioplastics. We can also develop a platform of using the intermediary molecules from food waste to make other premium chemicals at affordable prices. So this is Genesis. We are creating sustainable materials of the future using waste. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Robert. Congratulations for your success. You know, I know Mahendra and I and all the Thai team, we feel sort of like proud parents. I don't know, from where I come from, we call it nachas. You make us feel proud. So congratulations. It's an awesome company. What you're doing is really world changing. And we really feel great to have helped you a little bit along the way.
Yeah, I echo that. We really appreciate the support from Thai, and it almost feels like a great community where we could reach out anytime if we need something. And yeah, we're always here willing to help. So it's been an amazing experience for us.
Well, thanks, Robert. So please unshare your screen.
Yes.
We're going to move on. I think the judges are still deliberating, but it's time now for the People's Choice Award, the audience choice. So we're going to have a poll come up on your screen. I'll ask you to vote for them. We're not going to announce it right away. Mahendra is going to do the drum roll and make an announcement shortly. But please, audience, vote for your favorite. And we'll see what happens. So Mahendra, I'm kind of looking forward to going back to, you know, RBC Water Park Place where we've held it in the past. It'd be nice to kind of get into a room with other people and see all the presentations live. It's not the same. I mean, I know the audience has been incredibly supportive and we appreciate you coming out, but you know, when you're talking to your own computer screen at home,
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
a different experience.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. But you know, a couple of comments I'll make, Jeff, and the audience that's listening. I mean, if you heard about Genesis, you know, Robert didn't cover all the accomplishments and achievements that they've achieved. But that's just a great example of a Canadian company, Canadian entrepreneurs, you know, being on a world stage, international stage. Okay. Not only did they win TiEQuest last year, they were also a Tie 50 winner in Silicon Valley, up against 400 companies, and they won other awards as well. The point is, we've got great entrepreneurs that can compete at an international level. Okay, so organizations like ours, TiE, and others can be very supportive of that and be very proud of that. Okay, so that's very consistent in what we're seeing. You know, I won't show my hands on who's going to win, but you looked at all the companies that presented today, and if you listen carefully, the market and business opportunities, some of them are already doing it. You know, they're generating a lot of revenues or potential revenues outside of the Canadian borders. Okay, and some of them are already doing it. Okay, so we have great Canadian talent, and you know, appreciate everybody logging in and listening to the presentations and hopefully contributing and by judging and voting and polling here.
Okay, I think we're going to get the results of the People's Choice Award shortly. I'm going to share my screen. By the way, the People's Choice Award is sponsored by Baylis Medical,
right,
our sponsors. I didn't want to forget about them, but I'm going to share my screen if you give me a second here. So again, thank you to Baylis.
Okay, so Jeff, I got the message that the people have voted and they've selected their winner. So give me the cue to make the announcement.
Well, fire away, fire when ready.
Okay, so this award is specially sponsored by Baylis Medical. Chris Shaw, one of the founders of Baylis. I don't know whether he had an opportunity to log in or not, but in any event, at the appropriate time, I'll introduce the winner to Chris at Baylis Medical, and you can personally congratulate and thank the winner. So, People's Choice, the winner is Steadyware. Okay, great story on a great piece of device that is very helpful for people in need. Again, Steadyware was part of TiEQuest a few years ago, and I have to tell you personally, I've witnessed and listened to their presentations, and they've made substantial progress. You saw it during the presentation. They started out with an initial device. They learned from that. They pivoted, and they came back with something more manageable and more marketable and more affordable. So congratulations to Mark and the Steadyware team on getting the Baylis Medical People Choice Award for TiEQuest 2020. Thank you, Mark. Well done. Okay.
Thank you so much. I really
Great
appreciate
work. A lot of persistence on your part, and that, you know, and you personify, exemplify what entrepreneurship is about. You know, you run into challenges, you know, bumps along the road. You learn from the experiences. You're quick to change and adopt. And from what I've seen and what everybody else has heard, you've done that. So congratulations. Well done. Okay.
That means so much coming from you, Mandra, and thank you everyone for your vote of confidence.
Okay, so connect with me, and I will make sure that I give you the introduction to Baylis and Chris. And if there's anybody else in the audience who could be assistive to our People's Choice winner, Steadyware, you know, please pass on the comments, or we'll make sure you're able to connect with Mark and his team to move the company forward. Again, well done, Mark. Well done, Steadyware. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mark. You know, I think we'll make the same offer for everyone.
Yeah.
If anybody in the audience feels like they can help one of these contestants, any of the contestants, all of them, you know, please reach out to Mahendra or myself. We'll make sure that you're get in touch with them. You know, each one is looking for their unique set of resources, whether it be their seed or Series A round, or strategic partners, or beta customers. So if you think you can help these companies, that's really the whole point of TiEQuest, is to showcase great companies and help them along their way. You know, the 25,000 bucks is good, no question. Everybody would like it, but you know, they need a lot more than that to move the dial, and so we really want to help them along the way. We're just waiting for the judges. I don't, you know, I don't envy them, because it's tough. You know, you got this apples and oranges situation where how do you compare a Steadyware that's dealing with a health issue with, you know, TenantCube and Stan, who are dealing with landlord-tenant issues. I mean, it's kind of a coincidence that those two companies showed up in the finals, but you know, prop tech is one of those hot areas. So it's just a tough thing for the judges to, you know, make these choices, because clearly they're all terrific companies. Jennifer, what's going on? Are we ready?
Everyone's coming back shortly, so stay tuned.
All right. I can't wait. Oh, everybody's finding their way back. So I still don't know either. I think I've got a winner. I don't want to have like the Academy Award situation where I get the wrong message, but according to my sources, the winner is, drum roll, LSK. Congratulations to TiEQuest 2020 winner LSK. They win the $25,000 prize, and they go to Silicon Valley with the other 5 or 4 contestants to represent Canada at TiEQuest and the TiECon and in the Ti Top 50. Wow, this is really exciting. Congratulations to LSK, to Saray. Saray, do you want to say something? I'm speechless.
Well done. Well done, Saray. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. We are speechless too, and we are happy for the opportunity. Thank you. I don't really know what else to say.
Well, just the smile across your face is enough. I know that the money will go to a good use. As I said all along, the judges had a tough job. Obviously, by the way, I don't know if you heard, but the audience chose Steadyware. So, you know, that's not unusual. We've seen that in the past where we've done these polls, and, you know, then the judges come back with a different outcome. And it just demonstrates, you know, how great each company is and how anybody could have won, but there had to be a winner. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking into going into Silicon Valley with all these amazing other founders.
That's great. Yeah, it's going to be a great experience. Too bad it's not for a little while. It's about a year from now, but I think by then the world will be more normal, and you'll be able to take full advantage of the experience.
Yeah.
I want to thank our judges, Eric LeBlanc from the Royal Bank, Jennifer Cook, EDC, Saif Hashmi of BDC, Matt Leibowitz of Plaza Corp, and Amy Dick at Framework. It's a tough job, guys, so thank you. Thanks for judging. Thanks for your comments. I know you'll send your scorecards to Melanie so that she can share them with the companies. And what a great evening. So thank you. Lastly, I'd like to just reiterate our thanks to the Royal Bank. They've been a true partner throughout this whole process this year, but 17 years going back. So we're really, really grateful, and thank you to the Royal. Thanks to BDO, Fasken, City of Toronto, Air Canada, Baylis Medical, the Biz Planner, First Angel Capital, and the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. So that's it, everybody. TiEQuest 2020 has come to a close. We've got our winner. We've got our People's Choice. We've got 5 great companies, and I'm really excited. So thank you. Thanks to Redstone Agency for putting up with us and pivoting with us. They did an outstanding job and make us look good. So thank you so much, Melanie, and your team, Esther. And with that, everybody, good night.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.